Welcome to the Retail Tech Podcast. My name is Darius Basefi, and today I am speaking with Arthur Yao, Deputy CEO of Rezolve. Hi, Arthur.
Hi, Darius. It's great to thank you so much for having me here.
Let's start with a brief background.
Okay, great. So my name's Arthur Yao. So I grew up in the States. I grew up in New York. I went to college to be a teacher in mathematics, but then I realized being a teacher, you don't earn a lot of money. So I realized what could I do? So I could do development. So I became an engineer. So I used to build CRM solutions, custom build. I was a Microsoft partner before as well. I moved into management. I get my PMI certification. Then I basically said, I'm now leading an IT organization. I was the most senior person there. I was like, what else can I do? And then I got my executive MBA from Kellogg in 2007. And then there, I wanted to go from the back office to the front office. So I went into sales and led a sales team in the US. Then I had a chance to go back to China for about 10 plus years ago. So I ended up going back to Asia, and I was leading a Asia Pacific team for Genpact, which is a GE company in Asia. So we had a few thousand people that I was managing. And then at that time, basically felt like I moved up my career pretty well. I really wanted to do something on my own. And actually, that's when I got connected to Dan Wagner, the CEO and founder of Rezolve. And so he basically said, look, don't build your own thing. Come join my startup. I'll give you, opportunity to basically run your business. And that's what I end up doing. So I actually have been with Rezolve from the very beginning. So I've seen all the ups and downs of a startup, and it was great. And again, we've been lucky that we were able to public list on NASDAQ last August under the symbol RZLV. So it's been a great journey, and then asked me to take on this deputy CEO role, which allowed me to basically manage the entire organization day to day, so he can focus on investment and the shareholders and the public markets, basically.
Thank you for that good introduction. Let's talk about Rezolve. What is the main business of Rezolve?
So Rezolve is a AI, first technology solution, and we are focused on AI for retail and commerce. So what does that mean? So if you look at AI retail, well, one we're very focused on narrowly focused on retail and commerce because we feel it's a big enough market, and it's something that our management team has a deep experience on. And so how you deal with product catalogs and product information, it doesn't lend itself to a large language model and AI in general. So what we felt was the one of the biggest problems that will happen with AI is having hallucinations. So we basically have been able to craft and develop our own patterns of how to handle hallucinations, where now we have a zero hallucination solution. And what it allows us to do is basically ingest customer product data and build out the smarter salesperson. So what does that mean really? Okay, what it really means is very simple, is that when you go into the store, you have an interaction with a salesperson. And if you have a really great salesperson, the salesperson is very knowledgeable of the product and very understanding of you and service attitude, very positive service attitude, and then ultimately helps you find the right product that fit your needs. In the digital space, that doesn't happen. If you go on Amazon, any e-commerce website, you're not given a very good experience. You're given a very antiquated experience that hasn't changed for the last 20, 30 years, which is either a search or a category filtering system. And you get a laundry list of products that you have to click next, next, next. And then you have to look at the product detail to understand. And then you yourself have to understand your needs and the product details. And so if my wife, for example, wanted to buy a phone, she would never go online because she have no clue what all these like technical jargon is. She'll go to the store and say to the salesperson, I'm looking for a phone for my husband. And the salesperson will say, oh, what kind of systems does your husband use? Apple or non-Apple? If it's Apple, then he'll going to lead the conversation into iPhones and what types of iPhones they are. So that kind of journey is really what is the core to our solution. So we have a conversational commerce solution that basically allows us to sit at the same space as the search bar for most e-commerce sites. So instead of just a search bar being a semantic search, now you can have a context-driven search that is the smartest salesperson in for the customer. So that's really the core of our business. And our goal is really to be the trusted partner with our customers to go through the AI evolution, if you will. And part of that is, starting, most people are really at the early stages still. What does AI mean for me and my business? Okay, and then how do we take it forward? So we are really at the core of most companies' business to be focused on the revenue generation. So if most companies in AI today is focused on sort of customer support or some back end processes, which is really about cost cutting. But we feel today's sort of AI, where AI is today, is really what the dot-coms were in the 90s, which is that if you are able to adopt successfully in AI implementation at your core business, you will not only transform your business, but you will actually become the market leader in your business as well. So that's where we are. We are really here to help our customers transform themselves and take advantage of AI for their core revenue generating business in the retail and commerce space. Yeah. So hopefully
Okay.
that will be good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. We'll dive in deeper. Before we do that, I want to clarify a couple of points that you mentioned.
Mhm.
One is the concept of AI native.
Mhm.
The other one is the concept of hallucination.
Mhm.
So, what does AI native mean? Because I hear a lot of companies saying this right now. Everybody suddenly became AI native.
Yeah. So it's like if you go to, like, we were just in Shop Talk. There's so many companies that have AI that puts the AI name to themselves. And most people are just like, I was running a business. Now I'm just gonna say I'm an AI company. Okay. I'm an AI search. I'm an AI this, I'm an AI that, right? It's like, yeah, kitchensink.ai,
Right.
and that is exactly what people are doing. The difference between AI natives and non-native is that if we built with our business in mind. Again, we didn't call it AI in this, but we built with in mind a large language model that's a foundational large language model for commerce. And so when we started this business, it wasn't to say we're going to do something different. We actually were very focused on. We realized the consumer engagement in the digital space has to change from a very antiquated, hasn't changed for 2 years, 20, 30 years, to the next generation, which is about conversation, which is about, leading and having the best salesperson and leading the customer to make buying decisions. And because of that, I think, when we built this business at the beginning, it was with an AI in mind. Again, we didn't know it, we didn't call it AI, but we basically were building the foundations of a large language model. So all the data sets that we have built is what train our large language model. So when we're going to market, we have something that is like competitive to, any of the large language model out there, but we're focused on just retail and commerce. So that's why we're able to handle hallucinations and so forth. So with your second question about hallucinations, if you look at when we look at, open AI and all these like public or large language models, they sort of ingest everything under the sun, and they continue to ingest everything in the sun. And so the cost of computing is very high. And so it's very expensive to train all these models. And because it's always garbage in, garbage out. So therefore, you're gonna ingest information that's garbage. And therefore, the model will have some level of hallucination. It's just naturally of the way that the technology
How
works.
do you define what is a hallucination?
A hallucination is when anyone asks a question that, and the response doesn't make sense, right? It's as simple as that, right? And it's based upon information. It's like you'll hear, like, I'll give you two stories. Yeah, there's a lot of these issues where you may be speaking English and then the AI comes back in Spanish, right? That's hallucination. Or another example is Air Canada. So Air Canada had, an AI agent where they basically were doing customer support. And what happened there was someone called in and basically said, "Look, I'm looking. I have a bereavement, a death in the family, and what's your policy on that?" Right? So Air Canada actually does not have a policy on it. So what the AI agent did was created a policy and just say, any airline should have a policy, and the policy should be we should reimburse it. Okay, and that's what the AI said. And then the person end up suing Air Canada, and then Air Canada shut down that AI agent, right? But this is an example. This is
Instead
a
of
very
actually putting that policy in place, which is not a bad policy.
well, that again, that's up to the management of Air Canada to do. And
Yeah.
they may have out of that made a policy change. But what you're seeing is that the technology exposes a lot of information from Air Canada, and when there's a lack of information, it creates something, and that's a hallucination, right? That's a form of
Okay.
so what we are able to do, our technology, why and I would say the other thing is for when we think about these open AI systems, we think they're about like 3% hallucination, okay? Because but when you look at product catalogs, and this is why you'll see there's no one else really focused in retail and commerce, because when you ingest a product catalog, you get a lot of potential, even more problems, okay? So I'll give you an example of, like aftershave. I didn't mention this to you as well. If you use the aftershave, right? The name of the product could be called Beast, okay? And then the description could be woodsy, barbecue. And then if an AI large language model ingests that information, it's gonna think it's a beast in the woods having a barbecue, which just doesn't make sense, right? And the reason for that is because the names of products doesn't always align to the functions of the product and the context of the product. And that's why product catalogs in general are very hard for large language models to handle. So we have a technology which allows us to have still hallucinations because we are able to ingest these products and build out a taxonomy around these products that gives it that context. So when I actually ingest that product, a beast, it's not a beast. We give it context to say it's actually an aftershave and an aftershave product catalog and so forth. So therefore, when you actually have the discovery of that product, it also comes back that there's a context that it's a beast. That's the name of an aftershave.
How did you build your own LLM from scratch? What was the process? Are you using one of the other models as a base or
We're not using we're not using any of the commercial models as a base. So like anyone who looks at building, so obviously we looked at some open libraries out there for the construction. So when we built it, it was really for us the most critical piece is really three things I would say. One is having the language capability. So obviously we want the great thing about ChatGPT is it really spawned a natural language capability. Okay, beforehand it was AIs were very robotic. So I think one is just the language and being able to ingest new language information, new slangs, and that's something that so we have this foundational language model. That's one piece. The second is this commerce oriented product information. Okay, so this kind of understanding how to categorize. So we have ingested into our model how this categorization will work. The third is ingesting how does the sales model work. So actually, how do you actually sell products because of the sales process, and so there's a lot of ways of understanding sales. And so with that. We basically, that's our foundational model that we then go to our customers and then our customers will give us their access to their product catalog. So then we ingest everything, like so if you do an aftershave, we will ingest everything about aftershave and every reviews about aftershave, even like unboxing in YouTube or anything like that, will ingest into it and become the most product knowledgeable AI on this product, right? And that's why when we deliver our solution, we're delivering, in essence, a custom large language model for every single customer. So it's not like everybody's sharing a generic. We are actually have a very specific. So imagine if you are a company like Best Buy, you will then actually have Best Buy specific. If you're Dunkin' Donuts, you have Dunkin' Donuts specific large language model. So these are very important because if you were asking these enterprise companies themselves to invest building their own large language, they're just not gonna do it. They don't have the know-how. That's not their strength. So again, it's just like in the past, people during the dot-com days, how do you build an e-commerce website? everybody is trying to build something right from scratch, just like and then you then have e-commerce platforms like Shopify came out and all these things that evolve and that's what I see AI is doing as well. Again, we're very laser focused on B2B and this retail and commerce space. That's why we don't see like the large language models like ChatGPT and others will compete as well with us because they're not laser focused on the industry. They're going to be great at getting generic search, generic, product discovery about the whole world. Like I'm looking for a shoe, and then they're going to find these affiliate networks that they can, send you a link to. But at its core, these systems are going to be a large language model for engaging with consumers for anything. They're not necessarily focused on retail and commerce. And so even though, like you say, they're going to improve and they will improve, just like we're going to improve as well. Obviously, AI, the great thing is, the more utilization of AI, the more you train it, the better it will become. So 5 years from now, 2 years from now, it's going to be a different story than where it is. But we expect just as they're evolving, we're evolving as well.
What do you see is the most valuable moat for Resolve?
So I think so you that's a great question because I think for us we're lucky in our view that we're the first publicly listed AI for retail and commerce company. Okay, so that we have sort of first to market advantage. Okay, so from that standpoint, our competitors, whoever they are, maybe 6, 12 months behind us. Okay, so we have that speed to market. So that's why for us, it's really around dominating the market. That means getting market penetration and having onboarding our customers, having ROI from our customers. So if we are the first and we now dominate the top 50, top 100 retail customers, even if somebody comes in, it's going to be harder for them to come in because we are the golden standard. And also, we have learned from these 50, 100 customers and evolve our AI, which is better than their AI is going to be. And additionally, most enterprise customers, it's very hard for them to do change management. So most enterprise, they decide to move forward with us. It's going to be very hard for them to decide trying something new immediately afterwards, especially if we have proven results. Okay. So I do feel where we are is we have been very lucky to basically have the first mover advantage. We have been validated by Microsoft and Google from a partnership standpoint, and they've taking us into customers and really helping us drive the sales of our product as well and our solution. And then so really, what our moat is really going to be once we deliver and execute on a set of large enterprise customers, then it's going to be very hard for anybody else to come in because we're going to be ahead of everybody and continually evolve and stay ahead of everybody.
For a lot of companies in the AI space, especially agentic AI, data is becoming a moat.
Data is very critical, and obviously, a lot of these companies, enterprise, I mean, that's their proprietary data, and that's why we've been very conscious. It is a large language model for them. That means they don't share data between our customers, right? So therefore, our customer has their own and is provision. Even we use Microsoft and Google Cloud, so the cloud offering is also segmented away from everybody else. So very protected. It's their implementation. We can even put it in their data center if they want. Okay, so at the end of the day. But we own the algorithms and the logic behind everything. So the uniqueness is that we're training, like let's use Best Buy as an example. We're training their large language model, and we continue to train with the additional new data that comes in. So it's not a dead import. It is a live integration with their operational systems, with their customers, and so forth. So therefore, the is constantly changing the training that AI system. So it'll continue to become smarter from that data set. So again, our goal is very simple. Well, our goal is not to compete with any of our customers. Our goal is to enable them to compete with their customers, right? So Best Buy needs to compete with Amazon. That's why we didn't partner with AWS, right? Because Best Buy will never use AWS as a cloud solution because they compete with Amazon. So how do they compete with Amazon? Well, right now it's very hard from a digital standpoint. They can't. They from a physical standpoint, they may have a good edge over Amazon, but from a digital standpoint, they don't really have an edge. So we are giving them that edge, right? If you actually have a way that can take advantage of your data set and have a digital salesperson, that's the smartest person, you're going to elevate your conversion rate from X% times like 10 or whatever. And then you become the market leader. So it's as simple as that. And I think that to us is like, for us is about, supporting our customers. But then at the other end, we also continue to build learnings from all our customers, right? In terms of our algorithm. So we're not taking people's data, but we're learning from our AIs become smarter. And that we do a refresh of our foundational model as well on a regular basis. So generally we do it between 3 or 6 months. And the reason for that is because we'll have gained a lot of data. And again, some languages change, especially after 6 months. So there's new terms and terminologies out there. So we need to update the language aspect, but not just the language, but also the algorithm to become smarter based upon all these implementations that we've done as well. Yeah. So we actually, if you think about it, we don't take these data, but we have access from the learnings from all these data to basically improve our engine as well.
Okay, so the typical implementation, let's walk through a brand new customer.
Mhm.
What's the process of somebody like joining and starting to use Resolve? Can you walk me through that
Yeah,
process?
yeah. So there's two ways that we generally start with our customers. One is so we've acquired a few companies that will have existing customers. So one of the companies called Group Buy, which is a semantic search, and basically they basically support people's keyword search algorithms in these enterprise customers. So one of our customers from there may be like Crate and Barrel is one of the customers, BJ is another. So they've helped improve the search capabilities of these e-commerce sites. So we'll go to these customers and say, now we can implement a very simple sort of POC or even just a live implementation because we just will add on. So in the same search bar, instead of just using group by's capability, now you have Rezolve's capability of a conversational commerce. So instead of typing, iPhone Pro, you can type in, I'm looking for a gift for my husband, and he like, I'm thinking of a phone. What kind of phone will make sense for him, right? And then that context-driven conversation happens and resulting in a recommendation of 2 or 3 products, and so that will be the first implementation, and we have quite a few through our acquisitions of customers from the search space to upsell. The other is where like in Shop Talk and NRF, we met a lot of people. We had so a lot of people are very interested, and so we generally do what we do a fast start program. A fast start program is basically, yeah, I want to show you the difference between and also educate most people about what AI is and what AI is not, because AI means so many different things to different people, right? So the problem we always have when we deal with customers is they're at varying stages and different stakeholders at varying stage of understanding of what AI can do. If you talk to my kids, it's like robots will take over the world. That's the vision of AI, right? So yeah, so bring it back down to say, look, what are we driving at? Is really about building this smarter salesperson. So we do this POC where we ask them to give us a subset of a static set of their product catalog. We basically then we do a workshop where we educate what is AI, what's the large language model, and what we're building, and then we basically get that like 500 product or whatever number product set. We ingest it and build a very simple web page that has a search bar basically, and they enter the search bar is like they give. So we ask them what's their top 10 questions their customers ask. Then we do a second workshop, and then we go to their customer website using keyword search, and we ask that question. My husband is looking for a phone, for example, and then what's the response? And then we ask our large language model the same question and the back and forth, and what's the response? we go to ChatGPT and we ingest the same product catalog into ChatGPT and we ask those 10 questions. Why do we do that? Because it's an education more than it is a implementation. It is about making sure that they understand what to expect from AI. It's not about, and so what they need to understand is one, what we're delivering is something completely different than AI search. It's not an AI search. It is a AI engagement with your consumers. So it's not just about switching your search engine, if you will, or improving your search engine. It's actually a different way of engagement. So it is a salesperson engagement. It is not a text driven kind of thing. So the second thing is it is also why we're better than ChatGPT because of hallucination. It's very easily you can if you ask any, that's why we say, what's your top 10 questions? By the third question, you'll see what GPT will respond will be gibberish because they don't understand this product catalog description. It just doesn't have any meaning to them, and then it's very clear. So then, why we explain to them why they should work with us after that is because one, we're delivering a new way of engaging with consumers and a new revenue stream to serve and improve your conversion rate. And the second is that nobody else, even the best, the biggest and most invested LM AI company out there cannot do this because they're not focused on the retail and commerce. Obviously, they can invest in this space in the future, but it will be a subset of what OpenAI may do. But that's not their focus right now. Their focus is to be the AI leader for and basically to a certain degree replace Google in terms of the positioning. Versus our position is very clear. We're not focusing on B2C. We are focusing on B2B, which is really these enterprise customers. We're sort of like the Intel inside, right? We
Yeah,
are we're the technology behind the scenes, but we are really supporting and enforcing the consumer engagement with our customer. So the
right.
enterprise retail is the one that we are supporting because they need a better engagement. We don't decide, like, again, depending on different sub verticals, different way of engaging, right? Different way of selling. And so our AI needs to adopt the framework of and the value system to a certain degree of the our customer, the enterprise customer, right? They're the ones who define we want to push hard on selling. And some people say, I don't want to upsell at all. I want to be a very service oriented, and we'll adjust our large language model accordingly to the culture of that customer. So that's why we are customer facing on behalf of our customer, but really we're helping them basically take advantage, leverage us to engage in a new way that their consumers are not able to today.
The touch points and the way retailers are going to be engaging with consumers is also changing. The website or the app is not necessarily going to be here in 5 years, 10 years. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you think is the interaction is going to change?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why, a lot of people would term our solution as a headless solution, right? We basically are the foundation that we basically now it's almost like a database where we're basically pulling in everything under the sun related to this customer. And so therefore you have the smartest engine that exists. And then how you want to deploy that engine is up to our customer. So we've also said some customers want to deploy it in their physical stores. So you actually have a kiosk when you walk in. So I personally like kiosks more than talking to a human being because I know it's very efficient. I go to the kiosk, I want to buy, like I go to Dunkin' Donuts, there's literally a kiosk there and a person, and I go to the kiosk because I don't want to have to explain. I want hazelnut flavor and all this kind of stuff, right? So and I do think, the future is omni-channel. And that's why but the criticalness is that you need the availability of having this back end that can support any channel out there. So the future we see, it's not gonna be just a website. You see all these like TikTok, you see, things that are many channels of selling and engaging. So our customers are not just go not just it's just not one physical store or one e-commerce website, but actually all your social media, every channel needs to be able to support and have this AI large language model be available and accessible. So for example, a lot of people have done integrations with WhatsApp, and so you can use the WhatsApp to talk to your agent. Yeah, see there's many different ways, but the foundation has to be a no hallucination,
Mhm.
smart, really capable that large language model that also understands customers through empathy and be able to understand the consumer's sort of emotions, and then also be able to close a deal and upsell to the customer. So that's why this foundation is what is most critical. And then on top of that, you can always build and evolve as the industry evolves. As you say, 5 years down the road, people will not have mobile apps. Who knows what they may have, the things that are beaming from the sky to you. Who knows, right? But again, if you have that foundation of this the algorithm data set, whatever beams to my head will be the smartest salesperson that I'm engaging with, right? Not through this sort of taxonomy and very rigid way of looking for products.
You mentioned training your model based on the customer data and continuous learning. Training for your own model, you do every 3 to 6 months. How do you keep the customer's version updated on a regular basis? Because their model has to be like updated every day at least. I mean, even
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
So we have so the different stages of interaction with our customers. So the first stage is this fast start program that we do, but then you move into an implementation. Okay, that means you go and put it onto their websites, and then you have to integrate with their operational system. Because the ultimate goal most of our customers want is a not just conversational commerce, but actually a personalized conversational commerce. That means they know who you are. When you go to, so Darius, you come to my website, I know you're Darius, okay? Or you go to the store, they know you're Darius. And therefore they say, hey, Darius, I know you like and then they know your profile, right? Every year around this time, you buy something for the wife, for example. Oh, yeah, now I can promote, your anniversary is coming up or something, right? So that this personalized conversational commerce is really what people want. It's like, as I said, if you have a personalized butler or salesperson that you can go to and say, I want this, and they can have this conversation. I think that's where, part of that is having that self-learning. So part of that is to be able to engage in that. We now integrate with our customers' operational database. So it's continually training based upon that data. That means your information, you bought an order 3 months ago. That data is now being trained into our system. So when next time you come in, immediately that system can interact with you, knowing that order that was placed 3 months ago, and even a year ago or 5 minutes ago. Because it's real-time integration. So the biggest difficulty for most of our customers is moving into and building this integration, okay? And then because a lot of it is not on our side to do, it's actually on the customer side. And so the customer has to basically open up their systems. So depending on how integrated their systems are, some we have plugins to obviously some of the biggest e-commerce platforms, but then some of the companies that are very old, we're dealing with one customer in New York right now that has a very old system, and it requires a lot of heavy lifting on both sides to make that happen. But once you have it, you now have this humongous channel that did not exist at all because you have access through a AI engine into this set of very antiquated data set that is real time. Then even and some of this use case is not just about consumer facing. They can ask questions of like the executive team of the management can ask questions about how many bookings do I have in the last the 3 months, and actually it's like a online dashboard, kind of thing, right, for you. So so that's why for us it's really about building. It's so like what we will consider as the old sort of your data repository or data warehouse that was sort of being used by different systems. But now it's basically an AI that sits in front of that for the large language model. But it's basically having that set of data and continually training that data and updating that data.
What do you think about voice
So
agents?
obviously, when we say conversational, voice is very important as well. And why we think, in the future, again, we text a lot right now because the voice has not been very good. I think until ChatGPT came out, AIs are very robotic. They don't understand accents. They don't understand a lot of nuances. They don't understand lingos and all this kind of thing. But AI's gotten smarter. I think, that is the future. So we do think voice is going to be a way that people can interact. So when you look at drive-throughs, for example, I hate drive-throughs now compared to 10 years ago. 10 years ago is a highly, very efficient process. Now it's actually a very inefficient process. I actually spend more time waiting in the drive-through than if I just park and go in and buy, right? And so I end up doing that, which defeats the purpose of drive-through. And why is drive-through not sufficient? Because you generally have a lot, you only have one person in one drive-through because it's a one-to-one. So with an AI agent, you can have actually 5 or 10 lanes of traffic and still have different 5 or 10 agents. And you can still have one human being delivering it, but actually you have the agent can handle all the customer interaction. And the second is that the person that you generally interact with, if they have a bad day, they give you a lot of attitude. It's not a positive experience. Most of my experience now is like these people are not happy to be there. And a lot of these people don't speak English natively. So therefore you have a lot of accent. And so trying to navigate that accent to get an order, right? And then you basically have finally pay and pick up your order. So most people, as I said, this is actually so critical because this is actually the revenue generation of these drive-through companies, right? They have to if they get more people through their drive-through, they're going to earn more money. And people who got frustrated, like I sometimes would going through a drive-through and I'll just say, too many people, not worth it, move on, right? Like that's exactly what will happen. And so voice will be a big part of that because like our solution supports 95 languages, so we actually can deliver a lot of multiple languages. And that's why I say what's changed since ChatGPT is that you now have opened up a very natural language in any different language as well, which is really great. And we do see that's the future. But most companies in the AI space that focus only on voice, they miss out the key thing. You can put voice like Alexa, all these systems, CarPlay, there's a lot of voice in everything now. But actually, what's really important is not the voice. What's really important is the commerce. So for us, each industry will have a driver. So in the retail and commerce space industry, what the our customers care about is revenue generation. Can my customers buy what they want on my site or in my store, right? And can I get delivered the best service for them so they'll come back over and over again? So in this commerce space, the voice is not the most important. The most important is actually the flow of this selling process. And again, being the smaller salesperson, as I keep going back to, because that's really core for this. But voice would, in our view, will definitely be part of the future of interaction, right? That will exist.
Yeah, so the concept of voice is that the same interaction we're having right now with going to an LLM or a page and typing things and getting the response in
Yeah,
writing, in written, that's going to change to be a conversation in voice. So, and a lot of these LLMs are also adding that to their websites. So I think that's the interesting part of like even like going back to Alexa, of course. Um, how or Siri or any of these other voice agents is how well they can actually conduct a conversation and
right.
not have hallucination as we're talking about is going to be really interesting. And so let's say for example you're thinking about buying something from Best Buy, right? You go to their app and instead of typing things, they have an option. Hypothetically, I don't know if they have or not, but they would have an option where you can just strike a conversation
Yeah.
just like you would if you were in the store and talking to a retail salesperson. You would say, you know what, I'm looking for a new fridge and this is my budget and tell me what's available, what's the latest technology, what we have, what are the good deals, and
Yeah.
have that delivered to you in voice with questions.
Yes, and that is exactly our vision actually with our customers. Our is basically look, whatever app you can embed it into your app, and then you just pick up your phone and literally just say, like my wife, that's what she would want, right? She just wants to come and say, I'm looking for a phone for my husband. It's his birthday. What would you recommend? And the person says, actually, like what kind is it Apple system or non-Apple? It's like, oh, it's an Android system. So you're probably looking at some of these Android systems, but what does he use it for? For video, for work. And then my wife would say, well, he works a lot, but he also plays games. Okay. And then the person will come back, oh, that's great. So we'll recommend the Samsung, whatever. So that is exactly what like you can have this experience in the store. But again, even in store, if you go to any of these stores like Best Buy, the experience is you're trying to find a salesperson is almost impossible actually right nowadays, right? And because it's high cost, and also right now a lot of these stores have you know hundreds of thousands of products. It's not one or two products, right? It's so to have a person be trained on so many set of products, it's just not possible. But for an AI agent, it is. So, we have a customer that we ingested like a million products, right? And which one salesperson can ever know that? So that's why even if you go to Best Buy, they have salespeople in different divisions, the computer division versus the mobile phone division, because they can't have that level of product knowledge across the board. And that's again, you can improve that even in the store. So that's why when we have this base of foundational large language model with the customer data sets, product catalog, it's up to the customer to decide how much they want this to be leveraged across the ecosystem. So they can have it in the store, have it on the mobile app, have it on the website, have it on the YouTube, video channel, whatever, LinkedIn, WhatsApp channels, whatever, So there's many, many different ways that you can in leverage this. Obviously, we say that the most measurable thing for most of our customers is in the e-commerce, because that's something more traditional they can understand. They understand conversion rates. So then to improve that, and also the e-commerce website today is really the largest store. So if you're thinking about bestbuys.com versus the Best Buy store you go to, bestbuy.com is by far the largest store, and yet their conversion rate is the lowest compared to all these physical stores. So if you can improve the largest store in your chain and significantly, you're going to transform your business.
What do you think about the future of the role humans will play in commerce? Are
So
we going to get rid of all the salespeople or
no, absolutely not. Actually, we have this view of when Harrods we went to Harrods and talked to management there, and we're saying what the vision that we had with them wasn't just like changing because Harrods is this high-end British store, as a like a Saks Fifth Avenue kind of thing. But one of the things they have is like a really fancy, I guess a kitchen, a supermarket kind of thing, and specifically on cheeses. So they have very unique cheeses that comes in. So what we envision is that every day, the person who trains the language model is actually the person who actually is the expert on cheese. And so every day he or she's going to talk into and basically say, today we have this cheese that comes from this location that is really good pairing with this kind of wine and so forth. So this learning that our large language model is learning from. So then when the customer or the consumer comes in and says, what are cheeses are available today? And I'm thinking of doing a party. What kind of cheeses do you have? Then it is very real time, very response, and so this kind of detail only human beings will have. I don't think any large language model, at least in the near future, will get to that stage yet. Again, the other aspect is about connecting and training this emotion and connecting. So what I think is that humans will always have a role, especially in retail and commerce, because only human beings can know what other human beings really want. It's like, well, even though we can say we can imitate through algorithm a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's based upon training. And so the humans have to be the ones that train. So when we talk about ingesting, unboxing videos, why do we do that? Because the way you unbox a video in YouTube about unboxing shows the human reaction, shows the human view of this product, good or bad, and so forth. And that kind of knowledge, only by these unboxing can you really sense that. You're not going to sense that if you read a review that's typed up and like I give it 3 stars, right? The unboxing shows that emotion. So I do feel human beings will, in the context of retail and commerce, will always have a role to play. Obviously, so that's why for us, it's not about cost cutting from our customers. That's why we don't talk about customer support, even though we can do it, because most AI companies focus on customer support because it's low hanging fruit. It allows me to cut costs in my company. But actually, AI is really about the future. It is about being the core interface with the consumers and therefore transforming your business. So being that is really, but who's going to drive that? Is humans that's going to actually educate and train these models and also direct these models in where to use. So again, whether in person or in the store or WhatsApp or your website. So these are humans that are going to ultimately drive the decisions on the business.
You spoke about integrations to different systems. What are your thoughts on MCP, the new Model Context Protocol that is being used for almost like becoming a standard between communication between agents?
So I think one, there obviously needs to be a standard. Like anything, I personally am very pro standard because once you have a standard, standard allows for ease of integration and ease of interaction. But at the end of the day, it's about the design. So to us, like when we think about our value to our customers, it's about designing that overall solution, like when to leverage. And so if you have, open interfaces, then it's easier to get through. So I mentioned to you that we have this one customer that is a very antiquated, system, and it creates a lot of inefficiencies. And again, it takes a much longer time to go to market. But ultimately, it slows things down for the consumer and the fulfillment, everything across the board. So I think having open, systems is very good. However, I think the agentic side, I would say what I see the difference between the agentic side, and we use some agentic workflows in our large language model as well. So when we actually go through we do a lot of different aspects behind the scenes using AI agents. But AI agents in general has been basically an evolution of what I consider workflow engine. So if you look at in the old days, it's really a workflow. You have A, B, and a decision tree. And now what you're saying is that instead of a human being, I may potentially take away one and make an AI agent that can do this role in an overall process. So I think, and then again, when it is things that are standardized, then it's easy for these things. But what we find is, again, ultimately it's about the design and architect of that workflow. And also I think agentic workflow in general, again, is more about cost cutting for most companies. Yes, you may make things faster, but it's about maybe, again, reducing the cost of certain cycle time and so forth. But it doesn't really transform your business because AI doesn't know your business. AI doesn't have the understanding of strategy, right? AI doesn't have an idea what's go to market and how to go to market. And so it's not like you can create a head of sales agent, okay, or head of sales, you don't have that. There's no strategy agent. So agents are still basically, well, if you like a better word, it's like what we've done in the past of doing outsourcing. If there's a piece of repetitive work you can let someone else do, you can outsource it. But your core business is still run by the core business, and that's so I see that as sort of agentic AI is great from a cost cutting, but it doesn't really transform your business. And I think just like the dot-com days, whoever can adopt AI in the front end and really in customer engagement and transform their business, then will become the market leaders like Amazon is today in the dot-com space.
Every product category is different, of course. You
Yeah.
cannot have the same workflow or same conversation for every product. Every occasion is different. A good agent would be an agent that gets to know a person.
I think we're not there yet. So this is the whole AGI
Oh yeah,
thing.
we're not there yet.
We're
Definitely
not
we're
there
not
yet.
there. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I think what we are is basically having AI algorithms that can sit on top of a workflow and that can automate certain workflows and take different inputs. In the past, it's very rigid in terms of the inputs you can take. Now it's a little bit more open-ended in some of the different inputs and be able to triage appropriately. But I think at its core, though, it's still a workflow. It truncates some workflow and ensures some workflow movement. But to be able to, again, transform a business is a very big difference. If it's something that's outsourceable, then it's probably something AI agents can really do. If it's something that's core to your business, then it's something that I think at least Agentics right now cannot handle. Once we get the AGI, I think that's going to be a whole different wave, if you will.
So the challenge in today's recruiting and hiring is to find people that not only can understand the customer, they also are good at using tools, AI tools, to make their work better and faster.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this is and and the AI space is evolving every single day. Okay, so that means that like today you were sitting here, tomorrow another deep seek may come out of the woodwork, right? And then
Mhm.
so being having a team that's constantly engaged in what's new and leveraging. Again, we're lucky in the sense that because we started as a startup in the AI space. And we're publicly listed, so we have a structure of support. So we're constantly, integrating new tools into our system. We're not, as I said, we are right now the market leader, but to stay the market leader, we have to always be in the forefront. That means we cannot be like, oh, we're done. We built our financial model, we're done. Okay, we're just waiting for the money to roll in kind of thing, or customer roll. No, we have to actually can stay ahead. And so we do have a culture of bringing people that is constantly learning. So, but to your point, it is a hard thing to quantify because there's AI is in high demand right now. But actually, it's not about to me. It's not about even so for myself, for example, obviously I started my career before AI, right? Now I'm an engineer and developer, but yet I got a certificate from Harvard online for Python programming. Well, why? Because I still want to learn. What does it mean? I didn't do AI programming, but I had to learn, right? And even at my level, being the senior, I still went and actually took 2 months to do this program. So that way, I'm hands-on understanding what's going on in this market. So we expect to bring people, not just to say you have the experience of AI, because that's actually one of the mistakes of hiring, is actually finding people who have the hunger to learn and to stay on top of whatever the newest technology. Because again, today's AI and tomorrow is going to be completely different. So when AGI comes out, we need this team, the same team, be able to immediately learn and try and adopt and if it makes sense or not. And so we cannot say, oh, we need to hire someone with AGI expert. That doesn't exist. So again, that's actually the mistake I think a lot of people, especially our customers in the enterprise side, made in the dot-com days. They're constantly looking for an expert to help them, okay? And they look in the existing team who doesn't know anything and who's like stuck in the old way. So because they're not a startup mentality, they come with an operating mentality. So that's where we come in. We come in, even though we're a publicly listed company, we have that startup mentality in our whole team. So we will always look at the latest technology and we'll bring customers and staff that have that mindset and that's why what we're looking for a lot is actually customers who wants to be the leading edge and bleeding edge. So that way, and because those are the ones that we wants to try new things because a lot of the future is not just about us delivering a solution that is very this conversational commerce, but actually being that AI partner for our customers long term. And that's through all the ups and downs of the AI transformation that's going to happen in the next 5, 10 years.
I want to thank you. Very Very good conversation, really exciting things about Resolve, and I really appreciate learning more about yourself and the company.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, and it was great to be on.